Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into an emergency edition of the JP Peterson Show. Thank you very much for joining us as we have a little news to tell you here. The Rays have been sold, and that's the good news. Sorry about the additional audio there. Apologize for that. It's going for a big entry. Didn't quite happen. Welcome into an emergency podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it. We'll get right to it. The Athletic reporting, and this is Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich, who basically get all of their information direct from the commissioner's office. And I think, on All-Star Mondays, we get set to watch the Home Run Derby, Junior Caminero. Go get him. Don't hurt your swing. That the Rays sale has been basically agreed to. The letter of intent is now gone. It's been agreed to in principle and should be done by September, maybe even a little bit earlier than that, but we'll see. This is the same group that we've been reporting about, the unnamed group, that Major League Baseball has basically handpicked elite Tampa businessmen. Patrick Zalewski, the Jacksonville home developer, Dreamfinders Home CEO, has emerged as the principal investor in this, and he has a lot of ties to Tampa Bay. Ron DeSantis, the governor, appointed him as Board of Regents at the University of Florida. All this background stuff, most of you know, but we'll get into it a little bit. By the way, put in the comments any questions, thoughts that you might have. We'll get right to you because since I'm solo, you guys will be my co-host today. So I'll get to all your questions and comments as we go through this. Zalewski's group will, and I've been reporting, they have already been working inside the organization, Major League Baseball, Zalewski's group. They've been working inside the organization you might notice that marketing's a little bit different, a little better, and some other things. So I believe they will be able to hit the ground running. As far as where they're going to build, as we reported back in February, this group wants to build in Tampa. And also sources have told me that Patrick Zalewski has met with the mayor, Jane Castor, who also had some positive things to say about the situation today, believes that the team is coming to Tampa, and also met with Daryl Shaw, who owns the multiple properties in Ybor City. The Ybor Harbor plot is still open and available, which is on the water there and would be absolutely spectacular. That's my favorite spot. Other spots in Ybor City as well, to a lesser degree, the fairgrounds and maybe some other spots. Now, Ken Hagan, Hillsborough County Commissioner, I just spoke with him this evening. He reiterated what he said on my show a couple of weeks ago, that he is supremely confident that this group can get the job done in Tampa, get a stadium done. Now, it's going to come with development, just like Atlanta, a battery area. There'll be commercial, residential, everything that comes with the ballpark. It's a huge real estate play. And, of course, the ballpark in and of itself. Design of the park, I'm guessing it's going to be a dome or retractable, probably dome. Everything that we reported in February is exactly what has come to fruition here. I did not know that Zalewski would become the lead investor of this group, but it's still the same group that we've been talking about for some time. Other thoughts on it. Now, this group has also told me that they want to invest in the payroll. They want to bring this closer to the major league average, pointing out that, for a long time, Stu Sternberg has been pocketing much of the money and the revenues, and you can just see that in the numbers. We've said this for years and years. Many of you are new to the show, so you may not have heard this or read it, that the Rays revenues are well into the $300 million, keeping a payroll in the 70, 80, sometimes touching $90 million. Allows the Rays to make a crap ton of money. That's why he's always wanted to stay at Tropicana Field until the lease ran out, because he pays no rent there, has no expenses, cries poor, gets the revenue sharing money of $60 million a year, and is going to make a huge profit on the sale of this team. He bought the team as part of a group in 2004 for $200 million. His share was reportedly $50 million. The sale of this team will be $1.7 billion and change. Now, interesting to note that there have been some other groups, the Malloy Group I've spoken to in the last couple of weeks, that were willing to go to $2 billion, they told me, and other groups as well willing to pay more. But Major League Baseball favorited this group because of their political connections, Ron DeSantis, Ken Hagen, others. And when the names are revealed of who's in this group, the elite Tampa businessmen, you'll see even more reason why Major League Baseball has always favored this group. And here's another thing. So, as I said, they're already working within the organization. You can hit the ground running. If they can if they're going to take control of this team in September, I don't think it's beyond the pale that they make a big splash at the deadline. Now, John Smoltz was on our show on Friday, and I asked him about Acuna because ESPN wrote a story about Acuna possibly being connected to the Rays. Why? Because the Braves have a lot of big money contracts. They need to shed some payroll, and they need starting pitching. And the Rays have they have a surplus of starting pitching, and I think a deal might be able to get done there. So listen, it's a long shot, but these are the types of things that this group wants to do. They will add to the payroll significantly. Now, Acuna makes $17 million for another 3.5 seasons. And he's coming off 2 knee surgeries. So, yeah, it's a little bit risky. But Smoltz said he thinks that he's on the other side of those injuries. He looks great this year and would be a tremendous get for the Rays. And obviously, you put him in the middle of this Rays lineup. And here's the thing. Eric Neander's never been able to add significant payroll at the deadline. He always had to go out and do deals with both hands tied behind his back. Yes, go get us a power-hitting outfielder, but don't add any payroll. Good luck. And so now he can go out and have a choice of a lot of different players, and the pool is not so limited. So imagine if they can pull off that deal. And by the way, this group has told me that they don't want to touch baseball operations whatsoever. They don't want to touch them, and let Eric Neander do his thing. We're just going to give him more money to do it. So what other notes can I add to this? So it looks like it's all coming to fruition. Again, this is Ken Rosenthal and Evan Drellich reporting this, confirming the reporting we've been doing since February that this is going through. So very excited to see it all take shape. All right, let's get to the comments. Again, if you guys have any questions or comments, please put it in there. Is Daryl Shaw part of this group? I don't know if he's an investor, but I think he will be a partner in terms of the development around the ballpark. So I think, in essence, he is part of this group. And I'm hoping to speak with him later tonight. So let me go to this. Let's start at the beginning here with you. Rick said, yes, it is an emergency. Is it not? Alex S., hallelujah. Connor Fitzpatrick, what's up? Free at last. Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. We're free at last. And the immortal words of Martin Luther King. And you might even be able to sing The Wicked Witch is Dead. You guys want to do that? 727 Kane says, great news. Sure did take a while to get here. Well, when you're dealing with Stu Sternberg, that's the way it's going to be. B says, when do they announce the 2-year extension at the Trop? Stadium won't be done until 2030. Okay, Mr. Negative. I don't know. I mean, obviously, in this climate of, construction issues and costs, who knows when a stadium can be done. I guess the USF Stadium, well, from the Braves situation, they had that stadium done in less than 3 years. So from the time they announced this, which, by the way, I was in Atlanta at the time, and we broke that story on the air live, that they were moving to Cobb County, which is interesting. I think they could be in a new stadium by 29. I think they could be in by the new stadium by 29. They would have to have, the deal ready to go at the beginning, 26, 27, 28. Yeah, 29. I think they could do it on the outside, 28. But who knows? And where will they play? Will they play at Tropicana Field, or will they play at Steinbrenner Field? I don't see how you go back to the Trop, honestly. The city of St. Petersburg doesn't want to fix that place. And I know they've allocated but they also had a deal signed with Stu Sternberg. How'd that end up? So I think they'd much rather settle. They've said that. And if they could, pay the Rays $15 million rent for the next 3 years at Steinbrenner, I'm sure they'd be glad to do it and move on with redevelopment. That would be their choice. Could they do it? Could Major League Baseball do it? I mean, they're having a great season there this year. Logistically, I know for the playoffs, it's an issue. But in general, I think everyone, including the players, the players don't want to go back to the Trop. Trust me. The players do not want to go back to the Trop. Not with that sweet-ass Yankees clubhouse they got now. And believe me, everything if they do go back to the Trop, everything is going to be no frills because the city of St. Pete is not spending any extra money. And I don't know if this new group would, but we'd have to see where that goes. Muslim Adam Sandler says, did Stu actually pay the Tampa Bay Times money for positive coverage? I'll let you guys decide on that. He says it has to be Daryl Shaw. So I think it is. Like I said, I know Zalewski and Daryl Shaw have met. It makes complete sense on every level. I don't know why you would do anything, why you need to reinvent the wheel. When can you reveal the name of the beloved Tampa people who are part of this group? I made another request tonight and maybe tomorrow on tomorrow's show. By the way, Ken Hagen is coming on the show tomorrow. So we'll have Ken Hagen. I've previously scheduled Brian Hodgson, USF basketball, new head basketball coach. So he's going to be on at the top of the show from 10 to 10:30. And then Ken's going to join us at 10:45. So we want to hear about USF basketball too. He's got the 25th ranked recruiting class. So we're going to talk about that as well. So you'll just have to wait. Matt Silverman went on the radio a few months ago and said the team wasn't for sale. That's right, Michael. And we laughed our ass off. And he knew damn well it was for sale. So I know that I know I know some things about Matt. They're all positive. I mean, but it is what it is, man. I think Matt Silverman has been a great soldier for Stu Sternberg. He did what he was told to do. And he probably did it with a lot of remorse when he had to do it. But at some point, you are responsible for what comes out of your mouth. And you're getting paid a lot of money to do it. And that was his job. And he did it well. But I'm sure he did it with a lot of reservations. But it is what it is. Sam Hawthorne says, how in the hell are they going to play at the Trop? The place is a disaster. They say they're going to fix it, brother. I'm with you, though. I don't think I have my doubts. Brian All will be out by Wednesday morning. I have heard that he will not be surviving this. William Matten, when would they announce where in Tampa they will build and where do they play the next couple of years? Yeah, I kind of just addressed that. I think it's up in the air. Jane Castor said the city of Tampa could not contribute public money for the fairground site. That's right. That is true. Because it's not in the city limits. So that would be a drawback. And the last time they did a deal, the city wasn't involved in terms of money in the 2018 Ybor City deal. But this time I think they would be. Put the stadium on the water. I'm with you, 727 Canes. Absolutely. Is Ashley happy now? She doesn't have to hear about Stu anymore. Well, I can tell you this. I haven't seen her in a while, and we were supposed to spend tonight together. And once again, the Rays get in the way. But yes, she's for those of you who don't know or new to the show, Ashley is my wife. And it's a long story. I spent too much time talking about Stu Sternberg. Michael LaRue says, I guess the Times hit piece on Zalewski was canceled. Well, you knew they were doing it. And they were, I don't know why it hasn't seen the light of day. We know that they're working on it. Maybe they didn't get enough dirt and didn't want to write a positive story. I don't know. They still have plenty of time. He hasn't taken over yet, right? JP, we know you are the Drellich Rosenthal source. I would love to take credit for that, B, but I am not. They have much better sources in the commissioner's office, but I got good sources, as you can tell. Alejandro Noriega says, does this mean we can keep players long-term now and have players retire their careers as Rays like Brandon Lau and what we should have done for Evan Longoria and Kevin Kiermaier? Absolutely. All I can tell you is this group, especially the guys from Tampa, they have deep pockets, number one, but they also have an appreciation for the fans that I don't think Stu Sternberg ever had. And Stu ran this like he ran it like a hedge fund. Buy low, sell high. And the most important thing for him was making money. And if he could win some ball games along the way, so be it. And frankly, he did a great job of that. He did a great job of that, winning games. But there's so much more to it than that. If you're going to, suck all the money out of this area, and albeit all, and that's the way it was with Stu. It was always about him. In the Tampa deal, there was plenty of corporate support. There was public support, public money in the deal as well. He only would have had to pay $450 million and probably was going to be able to keep the naming rights, would have probably netted him another $300 million. It probably would have been $150 million out of his pocket and billions more in more revenue in a new stadium that has premium seating, which they don't make hardly any money in Tropicana Field. It's a deal he should have done then, but he knew he could make 150 million a year staying in Tropicana Field, so he didn't care about a new stadium for the fans. He really didn't. And it's obviously the same thing happened in some ways in St. Pete when he walked away from that deal. B says Stu may retain partial ownership per Topkin. That may be true, but I don't know. In order to get the deal done, maybe he wanted to stay in the club, but he'll have absolutely no say on anything that happens. So, he might be able to keep a box or something like that. I don't know why he would want to be around here. He's not welcome. He's not wanted around here by the vast majority of people. Jeremy Lowe says, great job, JP, keeping us updated through the months before it's becoming a reality. My pleasure, brother. I appreciate it. So all those people that dogged me, go on their pages and remind them. Will Kyle Tucker sign with us next year, or will it depend on where they play the next 2 years? Yeah. His agent was on with our show this morning, Jason Romano from the All-Star game, and he said that he would consider signing with Tampa Bay if they played at Steinbrenner Field for the next few years and then moved into a new stadium. If they go back to the Trop, it's off the table. He will not play at the Trop ever because it destroys his knee. So, yes, if they play outside, he would consider signing with Tampa Bay. He lives 10 minutes from Steinbrenner Field. So, Buck's Basement says, wonderful news. Just for the love of God, get an owner that will spend on the team enough of dollar store shopping, get some bats, shore up the bullpen, and be a World Series contender. Absolutely, man. That's what this hopefully will lead to. Buck's Basement says, the main problem with the Rays is they're wildly inconsistent. If the bullpen is doing its job, the bats are asleep. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we talked a lot about that this morning. This pod is more about the sale and the stadium, so we're going to stick to that. But in a nutshell, for you Rays fans, I did a monologue on this morning. I think the Rays are fine. They'll get out of this. This slump is injury related with Brandon Lau going out of the lineup, and this lineup is so thin. That's why they need to add a big bat like Acuna or O'Hearn or somebody, because it's so thin. You get one injury, you can pitch around people, and we've seen that in the last couple of weeks. They've had horrible luck. I mean, they've had so much. That game yesterday, a couple of calls that could go either way, sways that game. A lot of that in the Red Sox series. They're not getting blown out for the most part, right? So I think if you add a bat, I think Baker's going to be fine. I think Kyle Snyder knows how to get the best out of these pitchers. He'll straighten these guys out. That's what history tells us. So I think they got a shot in the second half. I do. And if they go and add a bat like Acuna, they got a great shot. They got a great shot. Ryan says, I will help pack Bradley's bags if that brings Acuna. Yeah, right? Absolutely. No disrespect. Ybor Channel is the best development potential. Absolutely. That Ybor Channel, you put a baseball stadium there, you can build 4 condo towers along the water and sell every condo for $5 million a piece. I mean, can you imagine? And that's where a lot of this money is going to come from, the development rights. Absolutely. If you get Acuna, who do you give up? Josh Lowe, Taj, Carson Williams, etc. Yeah, it's going to take a haul. Probably one of your starting pitchers, Taj or Shane Baz. ESPN reported that they wanted Baz, Carson Williams, and then 3 good prospects. I do that deal in a heartbeat. Devin Garnett says everyone needs to apologize to JP. They used to call you a conspiracy theorist. Yeah, I know a few people. For a lot of people don't know this, but I've been in this market for almost 30 years here now. I worked for Channel 8 for many years. We've won a lot of reporting awards. I'm not just some slapdick doing a podcast, although many of you would think that. So, yeah, we've been doing this for a long, long time. So we've got some chops. Brian says, Taj easily, Carson Williams, adios. Yeah, I mean, I do that deal. Michael LaRue said, will Matt Silverman and Brian all remain with the Rays after the sale? I had heard that Matt might stay on, but Brian is going to go. But I cannot confirm that. Devin Garnett says, depends if they align with the new owner's views. They seem like suck-ups of people that would just say yes to whatever ownership says. If this, they're not asking me. But if I were part of this group, I would not touch anybody in baseball operations. And Matt has kind of gone back and forth, but I think he's more on the business side. I like Matt. I like Brian, even though they've come to hate me for talking the truth about their owner. Sorry, guys, but that's just the way I see it. They're good people, both of them. They are. They're nice people, and I think a lot of the stuff they did against their better judgment. I believe that in my heart. But they made a lot of money, so I guess you sell your soul. It is what it is. But they were doing their job, and I think they're good people. But if I were the new group, I would clean house with that. That's just my opinion. I don't see the upside of keeping anybody from that side. There's just too much ill will, and I don't think Matt went on the radio and said we're not for sale. I mean, everybody knew that was a lie. So how do you trust someone in a new endeavor like this, where trust with the fans is going to be paramount? And I wouldn't start that way. I'd start fresh on that side. Scott Sawyer says, love all of this. Is this same group that wants to bring back the Devil Rays logo full time? I don't know that for sure. I do not know that for sure. We've kind of joked about that, but I think the Starburst would be gone. That's just my opinion, my guess. Alex S says, can't wait for the show tomorrow. Excited for Hudson interview. Yeah, me too. We can't wait to meet him. He's a really cool dude. Buckin says, Christmas in July. Indeed it is. Muslim Adam Sandler, we're really getting our version of Wrigleyville, Fenway, and Ybor. Yeah. How about that? Can we just ruminate on that for a moment? Ybor Harbor. I wish I had the pictures of the renderings. I don't have them in our bank here. Or maybe I do. Let me stand by real quick, see if we have them. The media assets. Freaking StreamYard's changed everything on us. So, I don't have it. Sorry. Anyway, some of you have seen those renderings. Big, with the open kind of window concept behind home plate, because you can't. Now you'd say, "Oh, let's flip it around and have you can't face a baseball stadium to the west in the setting sun." So it would have to be the back of the stadium would have to be open. If you've seen those renderings, really cool renderings. Right there on the water taxis pulling up to go to the game, a pedestrian walkway. If you know where the silos are, right there at Ybor Harbor next to the crosstown, across from where the cruise ships are, can you imagine that cruise ships coming in, and then that big kind of harbor area there? You could have condos and all the residential and commercial on the lower levels. I was even thinking, get really cool on this. So you could have like a pedestrian bridge going across the channel from one side to the other to the baseball, like a over the channel type thing. How cool would that be? Or you could just walk across from where the cruise ships are, across the channel, like that would be cool. And you could have a whole like almost amphitheater in that area, and those condos would look out over the baseball stadium, and you could see, from the backside, you could see into the stadium. Super cool. That would be cool. Where's the parking, JP? Well, it's not that far from Amalie Arena, so a lot of those surface lots you can use. But the beauty of an urban ballpark is, for all the residents around it, and this is for Monday through Thursday, which is when you have your challenges, right? For attendance, weekends is not a problem, and weekend parking is not a problem. But Monday through Thursday, where you just need to get, average like 17, 18,000, you just, people can scooter in. You can take your bike. You can take a water taxi. You can take your boat. You can take the trolley. The trolley will take you there. Bright lines coming in straight from Orlando. It would come in about 3 blocks from where the stadium would be. So you have all these transportation options, and parking you normally would have for Amalie Arena, basically the same parking you would have. That's a very walkable distance. So I think that's one of the big upsides of the Ybor site. It's an urban site, and you can get there a lot easier through Uber and all those ways to travel that I just mentioned. That's why I think it's one of the best spots. It's the best spot in my mind. Right there on the water. Come on, dog. Who might get naming rights to the stadium? Publix. Publix doesn't have a stadium yet, do they? Or a major league stadium? I don't think they do. That's an easy one. Also, and that would be, listen, that's a significant amount of money towards the building of it. I think the Braves made 30 or 300 million from Truist, or I think they were averaging about 15, 20 million per year. That's most of your nut on your side of paying for the stadium right there. Andre All Day 20 says, ever since they dropped the Devil off the Rays, they've been successful. True. I'm not saying bring back the name Devil Rays, but just the logo. Just keep it the Rays, but just go logo. Publix Pavilion, take it. Ybor Smokers. I don't think we're changing the name of the team. Any chance the new stadium would have a retractable roof, says Devin Garnett. I don't know. That's a lot more money, and it's not cost effective because you end up opening the roof like 7-8 times a year. So I think you probably go full roof. That translucent roof design, though, I think is fantastic. That's cool. Where can I see these Rays Stadium renderings? Just go Ybor Harbor Rays. Google that. I think you'll see it. Cheech and Chong could do promo. Ybor, okay. Alejandro says, JP, does this mean realistically we could get the new stadium earliest 2029? What location would you like the stadium aside from Ybor? And does this mean the new owners would also own the Rowdies? A lot of good questions there. I think they, especially if Daryl Shaw is involved, he's part owner of the Tampa Bay Sun. I think, yeah. I mean, obviously, and I think you could, the Sun could play there, the Rowdies could play there. I mean, they'd probably want a soccer-specific stadium as well. That's a lot of stadiums, frankly. So I would love them all to play in that stadium myself. And realistically, 2029, I think it's doable. Like I said, the Braves did it in under 3 years from time of announcement to playing ball. So it's possible. It's possible. Flour silos are going down. Yep, that's happening soon. Raymond James, fancy new roof, Rays new stadium, MLS team to play in USF new stadium, and we will build light rail. Inshallah. I would love to see all that happen. MLS, I think, though, they could play in that small. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play in the Ybor Harbor, though? What was it? Close to 20 years of despicable ownership, says James, but I'm happy what might have been had we had a real owner. Yeah. I mean, the Stu Sternberg epitaph, we will have a whole show on that, trust me. But it just in a nutshell, and to me, it's never been personal, although he's made it very personal to my life, his dislike for me. It's always been about the way he ran the team, and I never thought that he had Tampa Bay's best interest at heart. Ever since he walked away from that deal in Tampa in 2018, and everybody was sold this malarkey about there was no public, the public plan wasn't good enough. It needed a little bit more work, but you definitely could have got there, no question about it, if you're a willing owner. And then he also said there was no business support, was a bold-faced lie. There was $160 million in pledges for that stadium, and that was just off the rip. So ever since he walked away from that, and all the people involved with with the negotiations, started talking about the way the Rays went about this, and then their stupid two-city ridiculous thing, just wasting more time so he could get to the end of the lease as he keeps pocketing money, even though his team needed a new stadium. The fans wanted a new stadium in a better location. Everybody else wanted it, but he didn't because he was making tons of money. So he didn't care. And he's never had Tampa Bay's best interest at heart. He held up all the development in Tampa at that particular time. I mean, Darryl Shaw's been waiting since 2018 on the Rays, and he's still waiting. Imagine all the development that could have gone down in Tampa as we've been waiting for baseball. And hopefully, finally, he'll be rewarded. But the way it should have been a long time ago. We would have been in that stadium by 2021, 2022. And everybody's like, oh, the hurricane, it caused all this. The reason the Trop got the roof blown off because the roof was 10 years too old. And the stadium was obsolete. It should have been replaced a long time ago. So all these issues that they're having with, having to play at Steinbrenner Field, all of this should have been alleviated if you were a competent owner and did the deal in 22 or got a deal done. Anybody else could have got it in the hottest real estate market in America with all the things that were going right in Tampa Bay. You couldn't get a stadium done, and you wanted to blame Tampa, blame St. Pete, blame everybody else, and you had willing accomplices in the media to spread these false narratives. But in the end, we all learned what I've been talking about for 8 years, and that's why Ken Welch won't work with them, St. Pete Council won't work with them, Pinellas County won't work with them, Tampa won't work with them because you can't trust them. You can't trust them, and this has been the issue the whole time. It hasn't been us, it's been him, as I've been telling you. He's been the constant, and that's why we've never got a stadium done. And as soon as he's out of the way, watch how quick it happens. Watch how quick we can get the stadium done. And I've been telling you that for 8 years. As soon as this team is sold, a stadium deal will get done. Well, I'll go, how did we do that? Remove the obstacle. Tropicana Park, the new Trop. Okay with that. But I'd like to move on with everything, frankly. Maybe Shaw sends son to Al Lang in return for the land. I mean, I think Al Lang Stadium is a great soccer stadium. I think the Rowdies put on a great show. Culturally, it fits. I think it's perfect over there. But, if you can get it to an MLS level, it would be better in Tampa and play inside like they do at Mercedes-Benz. I mean, they packed that place in Atlanta. Google Ybor, Ybor Huddle. Yingling Park, says Mason Bradford. Sure, why not? Anybody wants to foot the bill. Imagine a pub substation inside the ballpark. Oh, yes. Mons Venus Stadium. Get out of here, Thomas. Well, then it would have to be topless. A retractable top. It's funny. Chicken tender sub park. Tastes good to me. Alejandro Noriega says, have all 4 Tampa Bay teams, the Rowdies, Rays, Buccaneers, and Lightning, all driving distance away. Now that we got new owners, I would trade for Randy and bring him back home, which we have done before. Ooh, that could be interesting. A little power-hitting outfielder in left field named Randy Arozarena. With the new culture that we have in the but Randy and I don't know if Randy and Yandy get along. Mr. Gonzalez says, not a Rays fan, but I'm happy for the Rays to stay living in the area and hoping they will get the area for the new park soon. Well, Mr. Who are you? Mr. Gonzalez, not seen you here. You don't watch my show, or at least you don't comment. And if you would have been watching for the last however many years, I've told you forever, they're not leaving this market. They were never leaving this market. Major League Baseball loves this market. They were not leaving. The only issue was Stu. And then Major League Baseball finally figured that out and got the deal done. Jonas says, I hate the Astros, but love Minute Maid Park, I think is what he means. Yeah. Is it still Minute Maid? Is it Dakin Park? I don't know. But yeah, Minute Maid, that's a great park. I love that park. Yeah. I would love one just like it. Oh, you've been following the show? Well, then you should know. Was it Mr. Sponge Gonzalez? Mrs. Gonzalez? Sorry. Well, you would know. I've told you for how long that we're not leaving. They're not leaving. You never know. Stadium could be near Hardware. It could be. they may not need city money, so they could just do fairgrounds. That's a better. It's obviously a much bigger site, 300 acres. They could do a lot more there, but it's not an urban site, and I think that matters for all the reasons I told you. Patrick Zalewski Park, Dreamfinders Home Park. No. Al Lopez Park. I thought that it might be cool to have it next to the Buck Stadium. They could have a sliding roof, right? But I since learned that the Glazers are not interested in that, which is fine. That's their park. They want it for themselves. So Michael LaRue says, does this new ownership group have enough influence on adding payroll before the sale officially closes? Yes. I think they can get that done. As I said, I know that they are in some ways working within the organization already. So, and I think Major League Baseball would like to see that. And they're running this show. And they have been for a while. James says, why is Topkin going to do now that he can't use the small market angle to every story? I don't know. I don't know. But he did take a quote from Ken Hagan that was on my show and did not attribute it to me today in my story. But he did attribute it to me in another story. So he did actually write my name one time. But they still have not ever said, as first reported by the JP Peterson Show, and they never will, even though I did report it, and I have proof. Connor McDavid and Kyle Tucker coming soon. Wow. Man, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? I want to talk about real, superstars. Not that you're not, Cooch. Vassy, you guys are. But McDavid, as you know, because it is what it is, they at a different level. 727 Kane says if they are getting 9,000 at Steinbrenner Field, they should be able to get 9,000 more in the new stadium on weeknights. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Buckin says he's a classic New York businessman, only cares about the money. Amen, brother. Amen to that. Michael LaRue says the Rays have said through Mark Topkin they regret not going through the 2018 Ybor Stadium deal. You're damn right they do. You're damn right they do. Retractable, please, says CJ Rhodes. I would love that if I had my druthers, because then we could have a grass field, and I think we need a grass field. I want a grass field. It's important for baseball. JP, any Tampa investors that are part of this group, can you share what you know? Yes, there are. There are a lot of elite Tampa Bay businessmen, as I've been reporting from the very beginning. I asked again tonight if I could reveal their names, and they said not yet. So still working on it. Still working on it. I think now that the deal's done, then at some point it has to come out. And since I've kept it quiet this long, they better give me the scoop or I'm going to be pissed. Daniel Gerard says, did Sternberg have to open his books to the new owner? Yes, he did. And they had to get a crowbar and a couple of heavy pieces of machinery to pry it open, see where the money was. I can just tell you this, the data room, as they call it, where they get all the numbers, was not an easy endeavor. You can only guess why. Douglas Batista says, great reporting, JP. Thank you. You've been spot on from the start. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Bucket says, though, they changed from Minute Maid to, is it Dakin? Dakin this year? Okay. I don't know what Dakin is. Andre All Day 20 says, the Tampa Bay Rays are unique to Tampa, and they're staying put. Damn right. They were never leaving. Devin says, today's news just canned Brody Brazil's content for the rest of the year. The Sports Web, Peter Blake says, they ain't effing leaving. That's right. Got that one right. Okay, did not know about the Glazer part. Thanks for that. Yeah, there you go. Bucket says, great day to be a Tampa Bay sports fan. Grace Point says, would love to see the old uniforms return. I would too. Oh, here's a great idea. JP Peterson Stadium. Well, then, I think I'll be a few shillings short. The cost of naming rights. But I will take a small little slice of center field for the JP Peterson pub, JP's pub, JP Sports Pub, right there, where all the Petermans can come drink. Scott Sawyer said, I wonder if the new owners will still want an intimate stadium or go for higher capacity. No. Intimate and high premium seating ratio. All right, we're going to wrap this up. I have a couple other obligations that I need to do. I'll be on ABC 28 tonight if you want to check that out. Danny Boy Kane, hey, thank you for all your support, my brother. You've been my biggest supporter on Twitter, and I really appreciate it. He said, I'm thinking the stadium framework is going to be done next if that's not happening already. Oh, it's well in the works. Trust me. In case you miss it, I'm reporting that Zalewski has met with Daryl Shaw. And so those conversations have happened. JP, since you also work for the Lightning, how do you feel about the team and what are your thoughts? We'll do that another time. Sorry, buddy. Got to go do some other things. Jeff Stutler says, thank you, JP, for being on this from the very start. Boat party, get it organized. Let's do it. Can we do a boat party for getting the Rays in Tampa? I think that's worthy. Let's see. I'll organize that. I can do that. I don't have a boat, but somebody will lend me one. Valdez says the Derby's about to start. Aim opposite field and center so you don't screw up your swing, Caminero. I know, right? Okay, anything else? I think we got them all. ReliaQuest Field. Yes. ReliaQuest Field. Brian Murphy. Hello. Love you, brother. Come on. All right, thank you guys for watching and listening. We will be on tomorrow, once again, 10 o'clock live, 10 to 12. We do it every day. Brian Hodgkin, previously scheduled, will be on from 10 to 10:30. The new USF basketball coach. I'm looking forward to that. And then 10:30, we'll move on with the Rays stuff, and Ken Hagan will join us at 10:45. Thank you, Petermans, for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.